Hey guys, welcome back to day 23 of my vlogs. So today I'm gonna expand a little bit on a little tidbit that I believe I talked about before. You know, I talked briefly before that I loved writing, that I wrote 8 minutes, which is something I'm working on right now, and that I definitely have been influenced by a lot of YouTube and its community, but I wanted to expand upon one of those details because I know that it does have something to do with the story of me and Chrissy. So despite what I probably have said before, when I talked about 8 minutes, up until the end of 2009, so we're going back a little bit, or I should say, after I graduated high school, up until around mid to end of 2009, it kind of saddens me to say that I was not very much of a reader. That I love writing, but I didn't really care to read. And it wasn't that I didn't like it. It wasn't that I hated reading. It was just I guess you could say that it was really more of I had like a really dumb excuse, which sounds really silly in hindsight, but it was that I didn't feel like I had enough time. I didn't really feel like it really captured my attention as it once used to. And it was before Chrissy had gone back to Georgia for the holidays. It was around November, if not even earlier, that there was one day where we were hanging out in her apartment, and I was like, I noticed that she was reading something, and I was just like, I was just like, I asked her what she was reading, and she told me, and it's funny that when she told me back then, I was like, that's cool, and I didn't really, I just said it just to say it, really, just to sound interested, which sounds silly, but I really didn't care what it was. But looking back on it, I know, well, anyway, so, I was just like, that's cool, whatever. And I don't know, I don't think I hit it very well, because I remember Chrissy being like, going on and being like, maybe you should, like, you can borrow this when I'm done, if you want. It's a really neat book. It's probably up your alley. And that's when I told her, I was like, oh, I don't really want to read anything. I don't really care to read. And she's like, I remember her giving me a look, like almost like a double take, and she was like, what do you mean you don't read? You write a lot. And I was like, yeah, that's two different things. It's not, you don't go hand in hand. And she was like, sometimes they kind of do, really. And then she told me how, like, she heard that, definitely that reading does have an influence on writing. And I was like, oh, whatever. I didn't really care for it, or I didn't really care to do it. But, we just kept going on, like how, or I should say, Chrissy kept going on about, how it was weird that I didn't read, but I wrote. And I remember at the time just thinking like, okay, fine, you know what? If it's gonna get, off my back, then I'll read it when you're done. It's fine. And I mean, I hate that I always hint at this, and I promise you it'll come up soon. But even though Chrissy and I definitely didn't end up very well at the end, I definitely pretty much thank her that she lent me that book when she did, because to be honest, it's definitely shaped me into what I am today. It's definitely getting back, like after reading that book, I forgot how much enjoyment it can bring to someone. I was always thinking, I've got movies and TVs and games, and that's all I need. I don't need books. But I remember after reading it, and I promise you I'll tell you what it is in just a second, that it just really, I don't know, I hate to make it sound like a PSA, but I mean, reading definitely changed me in the long run. Without reinstituting reading back into my life, I don't think I would have been able to finish 8 minutes. I don't think I'd be able to even, say, remember more than half of my dreams that I do today. And it really has helped me bring something that I once held like in high regard when I was a kid back into my life and back into something I definitely love today. It takes precedence over playing games and watching TV. That's definitely for sure. I mean, honestly, I don't even have cable in my room, so I hardly ever use a TV that I'm using to prop this TV up, and I read a lot more than I play my Xbox, I like to think. But anyway, if you're wondering what that book was, and what the theme is, I guess you could say, for this vlog, is the book that Chrissy was reading that day is called An Abundance of Catherines, and it's by John Green, who has turned into one of my favorite authors. Not only because of, it's not even so much that it's because of how much it's meant to me that he's one of my favorite authors. It's really just everything, really. I mean, after I finished that, I ended up reading, his other books that were out by the time. I ended up getting Fault in Our Stars just earlier this year, and I like to think that thanks to just this one little thing that happened on a random day between me and Chrissy, I've become a better person for it. I know I've said in the past that she has definitely helped influence me into who I am today, and reading does definitely go hand in hand with the whole writing and taking charge of my life, and I definitely attribute that to Chrissy, no matter what happened between us. That's probably all I'll get to today. I don't really think this needs to be too long of a vlog. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you've been watching from the beginning, definitely I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I will probably do another playlist in a little bit. I know I did the first 10 and I've already hit 23. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll wait till like 30. But anyway, And if you like the video, definitely give it a thumbs up. If you know anyone that might like this story, definitely share it with them. And I believe if you've gotten kind of bored, today or tomorrow and the next day definitely reinvigorates the story, in the sense that, I mean, I hinted at it yesterday, but this is definitely starting to become the beginning of the end. I'm getting closer and closer to the end of my story and to the end of Chrissy and mine's relationship. This is probably, I mean, to be honest, going to be the hardest part of vlogging this story. The beginning was definitely easy. The middle was nothing. But I promise you that, I don't want to say I promise you, but I definitely know that the last few vlogs that I'll be doing towards the end are definitely not filler, if you want to call it that, and they definitely will push me to not, I mean, honestly, it's gonna be very hard for me not to cry, and that's just something I definitely will try to handle. And you know, it is weird for me to admit, but I already know that I already knew coming in that it was gonna be like that at the end, and it is what it is. But anyway, thanks again, and until next time, see ya.